Hi, everyone. This is Bill Ritter, and you're watching live coverage from ABC7 New York. We invite you to check in throughout the day on our website, streaming app, and social platforms for breaking news, up-to-the-minute headlines, and AccuWeather. And remember, you can always find us on Channel 7, your home for Eyewitness News. Hi, everyone. This is Bill Ritter, and you're watching live coverage from ABC-7 New York. We invite you to check in throughout the day on our website, streaming app, and social platforms for breaking news, up-to-the-minute headlines, and AccuWeather. And remember, you can always find us on Channel 7, your home for Eyewitness News. Hi, everyone. This is Bill Ritter, and you're watching live coverage from ABC-7 New York. We invite you to check in throughout the day on our website, streaming app, and social platforms for breaking news, up-to-the-minute headlines, and AccuWeather. And remember, you can always find us on Channel 7, your home for Eyewitness News.
For pre-K. And as you can see, we have some child.
That's amazing.
So they're on the dashboard.
Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you so much. Nice to see it. Nice to see it from the parents.
So in the summer, like I have to let him know. I took my daughter, and you promised her best friend a picture. You came back and gave him that picture. Thank you.
Very welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm gonna use it for it too.
Yes, he came to visit us, right? Yes. Oh, and that's a good question. Say us, not just teaching. Right? That's nice. Do you remember what I said, what his job is? What is his job? Maybe he can tell us what he does, right?
Thank you.
Wow.
Everybody was so amazing.
Hello. Thank you all so much.
Yes. Tell them what is your job, because we're
Yes.
curious about it.
So, my name is Zohran, and I am your mayor. I'm the mayor of our city, the one that we call home. And this here is your chancellor.
I'm Kamar. I'm in charge of the schools.
Close to 1 million children in New York City go to our public schools, and this is the chancellor of all of those schools.
Thank you. The biggest number, right?
Very big number.
Yes. So great. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. You're all so cute.
New York's cutest, right here.
New York's cutest.
We were reading a story about the princess, the paperback princess, because we're learning about flow. This one time working with him in the study. So we put in every area, if you notice, some of the, to try to make them more hands-on in the area. Yes, the
You're
centers.
using creative purpose.
Yes, we're using the creative.
This is our marshal.
Can we
We have
Okay, guys, picture time. Yay, everybody stand up. Okay, everybody look. Yeah, yeehaw. Take a picture.
All right. I'm gonna come and stand with you guys over here.
You want me to put it back?
No,
No,
oh, yeah.
maybe sitting down?
Come up. Yeah, just have her come up and show
Okay.
your face.
Not good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. New York's
Okay,
cutest
cheese.
right here. Cheese, everyone. One more. Nice.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Of course.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, truly. Thank you for your work. Really makes such a difference. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hey. I'll give you a big hug.
Good.
Hi, everyone. This is Bill Ritter, and you're watching live coverage from ABC-7 New York. We invite you to check in throughout the day on our website, streaming app, and social platforms for breaking news, up-to-the-minute headlines, and AccuWeather. And remember, you can always find us on Channel 7, your home for Eyewitness News.
Good afternoon, my friends. It is a real pleasure to be here with you this afternoon and to be on the verge of ushering in a new future for the children and families who call our city home together. Yesterday, my chancellor and I, as well as other members of my team, traveled up to Albany for Governor Hochul's State of the State address, and I hope that many families tuned in as well. The governor laid out a remarkable vision for universal childcare in our city that will change the lives of thousands of children and of thousands of parents. I could paraphrase her words, but I would rather quote them in full. As she said, the state will fully fund the first 2 years of the Universal Care Program while also helping New York City realize the full promise of Universal 3K. This will be a transformative achievement for our city, but it did not arrive by accident. It is the result of sustained ambition by countless New Yorkers who dared to envision a future that every single New Yorker could afford. And it is the result of a movement that worked together and organized together to build enough political momentum to remake our city. But all of that work and all of these hard-fought victories are only worthwhile if New Yorkers are actually informed of the programs and resources available to them. And while 2Care is not available across our city yet, 3K and pre-K are. So we are here today to encourage New Yorkers to enroll their young children in 3K and pre-K because the window to do so begins today. New Yorkers have until February 27th, or a little bit more than 6 weeks from now, to sign up. The benefits of having a young child in 3K or pre-K are vast and far-reaching. A good early childhood education lays the foundation for better outcomes later in life. Signing your child up over the next few weeks could have enormous positive ripple effects decades down the line. And for many parents eager to return to the workforce, this could be what makes all the difference. I know that there are many New Yorkers who are unaware these opportunities exist, and frankly, that is no accident. The past administration sought to not only cut funding for the program, but also to cut outreach and advertising about early childhood education as well. The consequences were stark. Thousands of empty seats, especially in the parts of the city with higher numbers of immigrant and low-income families who stood to benefit the most. We will write a new story from our City Hall, one where we improve existing programs, invest in our families, and use our platform to spread the word to as many New Yorkers as we can. We will use every single tool at our disposal, not simply press conferences such as these, but ads in the back of taxis, Link NYC, as well as asking New Yorkers themselves to participate in this effort. If you know someone who has a child that would be eligible, please encourage them to sign up. This could be the difference between their family having to spend more than $20,000 for a single year of childcare or being able to send their child into a universal program like this. Any family can do so by going to myschools.nyc, calling 718-935-2009, or going to one of the city's 13 family welcome centers across the 5 boroughs. This is how we make government work for each and every one of our children. It's how we make the city that we love into a city that every single New Yorker can afford. Thank you, and I will now pass it over to my school's chancellor.
Thank you, Mayor Mamdani, for your continued support. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you as well to the Cypress Hills Child Care Center for hosting us. As I got ready this morning, I couldn't help but think about the parents across our city rushing to work, coordinating pickups and drop-offs, too often forced to make impossible choices between career opportunities and care for their little ones. Today, we're saying, we see you, we hear you, we are taking action. Recently, Mayor Mamdani and Governor Hochul made a historic commitment to investing in universal childcare. And as a parent of a toddler myself and a lifelong educator, I want to recognize the impact of this commitment. This is about equity, opportunity, and about setting our young learners on paths to success while also addressing real needs of families. Because when we prioritize our youngest, New York's cutest, we're investing in parents and guardians who can pursue their careers and pursue neighborhoods as they grow stronger and more equitable, more affordable, and we want a more hopeful New York. I'm thrilled to share that applications to 3K and pre-K for next year are now open and will remain open through February 27th. To our families with young children, I encourage you to apply. I am grateful to Mayor Mamdani and Governor Hochul for their partnership, and I appreciate the families, educators, and advocates who've pushed us to think bigger and do better. So, I'll leave you with this. If you have a child born in 2022 or 2023, apply to our 3K and pre-K programs today. If you're an educator, know that we see you and we value you. And if you believe that every child deserves a fair shot, you're in really good company. Let's get to work. Thank you very much.
Beyond offering a seat to kids, what are you doing, like what structural changes are you doing to enrollment and making sure that kids are getting a seat in their neighborhoods that they live in and not having to travel across the city to different boroughs to get to school?
This is a key part of what will be the focus of our work, and also why we are so proud of the commitment that we secured from the state. Of the $1.21 billion that were committed, more than $100 million was committed specifically to fixing 3K, to ensuring that not only could we offer every child a seat that wanted one, but also that we could make it easier to actually take the city up on that offer.
Where do things stand in terms of capacity? Do you anticipate having enough seats for all the children that apply for 3K or 3K slot? And if not, how does that selection process work?
We are fully confident in both of those things. And what I really appreciate in everyone that we have up here from our team is that we are not going to rest on our laurels to simply wait for applications to come in. We are going to go out to New York City and to New Yorkers to make the case that this is a program for them, and we need to make it as easy as possible for them to actually hear about this program.
For your condition, Mr. Mayor.
How are you?
How are you, sir? We spoke to parents, and they are a little bit afraid and documented to actually matriculate or register their children in the new universal pre-K or any programs because of the environment that they're living with ICE. So it's kind of like a compound question. That's one. And two, with the new threats from President Trump reiterating that he's going to remove all the funds to sanctuary cities, how will this affect your plans for any universal program, especially with 2Care that is still in the works? Would that be an impact in any of the programs?
I think in a moment such as this, that only heightens the importance of city and state collaboration to be funding these kinds of programs. And we are fully confident of our ability to deliver on these programs. And also, we will take every opportunity to remind New Yorkers across the city of the sanctuary city policies that we have in place here in New York City. Those are policies that ensure that ICE agents are not allowed to enter into a school property or a New York City property or even a property owned by a New York City contractor that is doing business with the city unless they can provide a judicial warrant signed by a judge. And I know that there are many families, especially undocumented families across the city and immigrant families at large, who have been unsure as to what their rights are in a moment such as this. We are going to do the work, just as we're reminding New Yorkers they have until February 27th to sign up for this program, we're also going to remind them of the rights that they have as New Yorkers.
And New York can pay for that, for their services, because that's what's coming from Washington, that taxpayers are paying for them, for these services, because they're undocumented.
We will continue to advance this vision for childcare, and I also take heart from what the governor said in regards to the earlier threat around childcare funding from the federal administration, of her confidence of being able to win that case in court.
Hi, Mayor. On the threats to cut funding, it's been reported, I believe, by Axios, to give credit where credit is due, that you have been texting with President Trump. I'm wondering if you can confirm that. And then more broadly, this is that moment where New Yorkers are looking at you and saying, Mr. Mayor, what can you do relative to the relationship with President Trump to alleviate some of these concerns? So what can you do, sir?
I will continue to make the case for New York City. And I think that's been at the heart of every conversation that I've had with the president, whether it's in the Oval Office or through the handful of texts and calls that we've exchanged. It's always about making the case for this city. And when it comes to the threat to restrict federal funding to New York City, I want to be very clear that our values and our laws are not bargaining chips. We will stand up for them, and we will stand up for them even in the face of these kinds of threats.
And I know you said last night, just to update, you hadn't touched base with him on this. Have you, in the interim, as of this morning, touched base with him?
I reached out to President Trump. We haven't yet connected. Thank you.
Two questions. The first one, are you guaranteeing every parent a week policy to
We are guaranteeing every single parent a seat when they apply for this, and we are doing the work to make sure that those seats will be far closer than they have been in the past.
And the second question, your executive order on small businesses. You know, many new mayors come in, and this is an initiative to sort of ease the way for small businesses. I'm wondering what's different about the executive order you signed versus even Mayor Adams had a plan to small businesses.
The plight of small businesses is not new. Neither has the recognition of that plight. What has been missing, however, is the action on that issue. And this executive order directs every city agency to create a single inventory of every single fine and fee that a small business faces. We're looking at more than 6,000 regulations that small businesses have to jump through. Speaking of refrigerator fees and frozen dessert fees, and then directs them to start to reduce them. And I think what will make this different is that this is not a additional concern of ours. Rather, it is a central concern of our city hall, in that we want to make it easier not just to open the doors of a small business, but also to keep them open. And today, when I was speaking to Yesenia Rodriguez at Sweets and Things, she shared that her story of becoming a small business owner could only begin after she'd spent years of working out of other people's kitchens and other people's businesses, having pop-ups, because of how many hoops she had to jump through. And we want to make sure that we don't celebrate how someone was able to open their doors in spite of those fines and fees. Rather, we make it easier for them to do so because of what city government's doing.
Is there a timeline for those rules to be eliminated?
There's a timeline for the inventory, and then as soon as the inventory is completed, then the work begins of reducing the fees.
Do we have more questions about enrollment just before we go on the topics? Yeah, Holly first. You were a little bit critical of the previous administration's outreach on this program. Could you say a little bit more specifically how your outreach will look different, like will there be a new website, an ad campaign, something like that? And just
I'll answer the first one first. Thank you, Holly. And this is going to be part of a full court press from our city government to inform each and every New Yorker of the fact that the enrollment period begins today and it goes until February 27th. And I will be making the case, our schools chancellor will be making the case, our entire early childhood education team will be making the case. We'll be making it ourselves, we'll be using press conferences, but we'll also be advertising on Link NYC, on taxi television, as well as using digital media to get the word out. Because a program is only as good as a New Yorker's knowledge of it. And we do not want to pat ourselves on the back for something that is being done while most New Yorkers are unaware of it. We want to ensure that this program connects specifically with the New Yorkers who are anxious about their ability to afford more than $20,000 in a year's worth of costs. And actually, before the Chancellor and I met with New York's Cutest, we met with a navigator who was helping a parent and her young child enroll into 3K. And she was picking the various different schools that she liked that were close to both her home as well as potentially close to her job. And we want to let New Yorkers know that you can find out of these possibilities, whether you're going to the website, whether you're calling the number, or whether you're going to a welcome center in person, of which there are more than 10. Thank you.
Thank you. Was wondering on enrollment figures, do you or the Chancellor have any estimates yet for how many kids are actually expected to enroll in 3K and pre-K? And on enrollment as it relates to 2Care, the governor yesterday said that 2Care, once fully implemented, should serve about 30,000 kids. That's pretty markedly lower than the 55,000 that New Yorkers United for Healthcare has said is needed. Your office agreed with this 30K figure. I'm wondering, where's that 30K figure coming from? And do you indeed think this 55K number is exaggerated?
What we are going to do is do all of the outreach within our power to make the case to New Yorkers, and then see in the hopes of having the largest possible number of New Yorkers enrolling in these very programs. And can you say the first question again?
If you have estimates for how many people, how many kids are going to be in.
I think a lot of these estimates, frankly, are based on the absence of any kind of sustained outreach from City Hall in prior years. And we are making that outreach a focal point of our city government's focus for the next 6 weeks. And frankly, this is not just going to be tasked with those who are here next to me. This is going to be a responsibility for all of us, because every day we meet New Yorkers, and that's another day where we can say, February 27th, you have until then to enroll your child.
Where did you get the 30,000 figure from? Where's that estimate from? What did you base that on?
So as the mayor said, we are basing our best estimates now on the data that we have, and we're going to continue gathering new data from families. We looked at past enrollment patterns in the city's early childhood programs, as well as estimates from other places around the country and world that have more accessible childcare programs for young children. But we recognize that the estimate that the governor put out, the estimates from advocates, they are all just estimates until we actually talk to families and ask them what they want and need, which is what we are planning to do next. And then we will scale the program to meet the need as we see it.
And Mr. Mayor, really quickly, how often do you text with Donald Trump? Are you guys texting like every day?
We've exchanged a handful of text messages.
I was just going to follow up on that in the following sense. How much of your communication with the president is sort of an aftermath of your pretty positive meeting with him at the White House? Did he give you sort of some communication protocols? Text me if you need me, call me if you need me. Are you sort of figuring it out on your own? Because a lot of New Yorkers are hearing about this and wondering, how is it that our mayor is standing up for us to the president?
The importance of standing up is to do so consistently, whether in public or in private. And that's what I will continue to do as the mayor of this city. And whenever I reach out to the president or the president reaches out to me, I always make the case for our city. And this is in line with what I've said over the course of the campaign as I ran to become the mayor, is that wherever there was a possibility to advance an agenda that would benefit New Yorkers, I would take that opportunity to speak directly to the president. And wherever there's disagreement, I will also be frank and honest about that disagreement.
You said that the president reached out to you. Has he reached out to you? Has he texted you?
In general?
You said that, the president reached out, like whenever he reaches out to you.
There are times when the president reaches out. There are times when I reach out to the president. I always ensure that whatever that occasion is, we use it as an opportunity to put forward the needs of New Yorkers.
And on federal funding, if there is if the president does pull federal funding from New York City and New York State, obviously you guys are facing a massive budget deficit. What are your conversations like? Who are you having these conversations with? Are you guys looking at legal options? Are you guys preparing ahead of time?
We are preparing for every single eventuality. And what that requires is a whole of government approach. And it also requires ensuring that you have a law department that is prepared for something like that. And that is a large part of why we selected Steve Banks as our nominee for Corporations Counsel, as someone who is incredibly skilled, fluent, and capable of taking on any potential hypothetical in this moment.
So, Mayor, I wanted to ask you, today's announcement is a little bit about your affordability agenda. Yesterday in Albany, you had a different take on a different part of the affordability agenda, which was Governor Hochul's proposal to lower auto insurance rates. And one of the big foundations of that proposal is to reduce the compensation that people who've been seriously injured by car drivers would receive, as well as making it cheaper to own auto insurance, thereby driving more people to get cars and drive, which is a different side of your affordability agenda because there'd be more congestion, more road violence, more damage to roads, etc. So how do you square that? Why would you support something that would encourage more driving and deprive injured people of compensation?
So what I will support is measures that will reduce the cost of living across this city, and I will also do so in tandem with a vision that makes this a more livable city. And what we've found time and time again is that we have to make public transit the most convenient, the most affordable, the most rational option that New Yorkers can take. And that is, in many ways, a central part of what I've tasked my DOT in doing in trying to make our streets the envy of the world.
Yeah, but follow up on that, though, because if you make driving less expensive, then that changes the equation for many people who would choose transit.
I think for a lot of New Yorkers, it's not just a question of cost, it's also a question of time. And for me, the reason that I was supportive of Governor Hochul's actions to start to reduce auto insurance rates is that this is another way in which New Yorkers are being pushed out of the city. The focus will always be, how do we make it as easy as possible to get around this city, as cheap as possible, and there's no competition with public transit.
Sir, if the president cuts funding to sanctuary cities, as he threatened to do, what would the impact be on New York City specifically? What is at risk for us?
Any cut in funding would have a significant impact on the city's ability to not only fulfill the budget that it has today, but also to fulfill an agenda that would ensure that more New Yorkers can afford to stay in this city. And I am proud of the team that we have ready at the hand to be able to respond to these kinds of threats so that we are not simply on the defensive of the little that New Yorkers are given in this moment, but frankly, advancing a larger agenda as well.
In terms of the dollar amount, you don't have a number of them?
I think it's hard to say a dollar amount in a moment such as this, but we take these kinds of threats seriously, and we also will not bargain with our values or our laws.
You spoke about Steve Banks and the law department and fighting back that way. Are there other ways that your administration plans to fight back? Obviously, the police department funding relies on federal funding, and so what are the ways beyond legally that you're planning to fight back? And just good to see another Yardy in this room and part of our team.
We'll take that, absolutely. You have many tools in city government. You have the tools of a law department, of a potential corporations council. You also have the tool of informing New Yorkers of what their actual rights are. Today, we're gathered to tell New Yorkers about 3K and pre-K and how they can enroll. But as the question came earlier from Univision, there are many New Yorkers. It's not just a question of do they know about these programs, do they know about their rights? And we are going to be very direct with New Yorkers as to what protections they have under the law, because there is an anxiety that lives in many New Yorkers' day-to-day lives where they do not know what they can expect from their city and what safety that they have. And our job is to make it as clear as possible for them. This is a city that will stand up for them. This is a city that will also make the case for every New Yorker at every opportunity we get. Thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you.
Are you going to shoot a hoop too, Mr. Mayor? He's on trash. He did say I was trash.
Okay. I was going to answer with that because.
Mr. Mayor, quick question for the Judge Street Journal.